Hey there, how you doing? So welcome to the last video of the QM Material CFA Level 1 exam. This module, it's new. It's Intro to Big Data Analysis or Big Data Techniques. And it's a door, I would say. They're opening the door for what's coming for the level 2, the next exam. Next exam is going to be heavy on big data techniques, big data analysis, matter of fact. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to the points or learning outcomes and key points of the learning material for level 1. But I'm going to go not much in depth, but I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to touch a little bit on the material of level 2 as well here. So I want you to kind of see the big picture of this topic or this learning module, let's say, or this lesson called Intro to Big Data Techniques. I do not believe it's going to be a heavy content on level 1 exam. I do believe you're going to face questions on this learning module there in the exam, but I believe it's going to be something related to concept, some kind of definitions. Like I said, try to have the big picture, I guess, right? Without making this as a joke, but the big data, try to get the big picture of the big data learning module. That's what I meant. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have for learning outcomes and key points now. All right, friends. So there you go. Learning outcomes. See, only 3 learning outcomes. It's a short learning module for the level 1 content. It is a more heavy content for level 2 exam. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Try to do a good job here, right? If you have the time, if you like the topic, try to do a good job understanding like as much as you can. It's going to make your life a little easier on level 2. On the other hand, I do not believe that the emphasis of the quantitative method exam level 1 will be on this learning module, right? We see we have 11 learning modules at your disposal, I guess, right, for the exam. So 11 learning modules. There's a lot of content. Again, so I don't think that's going to be the preference of the contents would be on Intro to Big Data Techniques. I believe that if I was the one writing the exam level 1, I would like to emphasize more hypothesis tests, linear regression, probability concepts, the trees, even portfolio mathematics and time value of money, and less on big data, because level 2 is going to explore that. And you have the option to do the practical skill module on Python, and you're going to touch some of the topics, some of the material that you need to know for this topic. So again, that's actually an advice here. When you choose the practical skill module, think about that either or of your choices will help you with the content of the exam. Not a lot, but you will see some connections. Okay, so that's something that's important to remember. All right, friends, so let's see what the learning outcomes are. Describe fintech. Describe fintech and why they're directly relevant for gathering and analyzing financial data. Fintech, financial technology. So that's actually a large definition. It's one of those things like, what is globalization? Try to ask what is globalization for 5 different people randomly, right? You're gonna get like so many different answers. You're gonna get an explanation. You're gonna get some exemplification, all sorts of things. But nobody's gonna kind of like give you the same answer. It's about fintech is like that. Well, yeah, it's it's the set of tools, technical tools that we have available so for us to use in the financial management, financial analysis, right? Someone's going to give you that answer, right? Or it's all the different techniques in artificial intelligence and others that we have now that can facilitate to find information, right? To gather data of the market. So again, you can go in several different directions. The only thing I do not expect is you to get a question on the exam. Which of the following alternatives defines fintech? I do not believe this will be there. Okay, so try to get just like what it is, the components. I think I did a good job here, modest on the side. Try to kind of pointing what I found important that you need to know and eventually could become a question. Okay, again, I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth on this module than what you have to know for level 1, but I'm doing that for the reason that I know the level 2 exam will ask you this again in more depth. So I want to go a little bit further, but just remind you, check the learning outcomes and check the lesson and do the problems at the end of the chapters or the ecosystem. There's not too many, I guess, if I recall. And that's it. But if you want to go and do yourself a favor for the level 2, then go further. I'm going to provide you some elements here today. All right, second one is, in my opinion, if a question comes from this learning module in your exam, will be from learning outcome number 2 and number 3, not number 1. So learning module number 2, look at that. Describe big data, AI, and ML. Must tell you that big data and machine learning are 2 separate learning modules for the level 2. Right? Learning module 7, or 6 if I recall, machine learning, and 7 was big data, or 7 was machine learning, and no, it was learning module 6 machine learning and 7 big data analysis, right? So a specific learning module for the big data and a specific for machine learning on level 2. So here we kind of combine, like I said, look, it's describe. All 3 learning outcomes are describe, 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 describe. Describe fintech, put it on the side. Describe big data, describe machine learning, describe artificial intelligence, describe the application of big data in service and investment management. It is an easy, in my opinion, easy learning module, right? All you have to do is take the time to digest the information, try to orchestrate it in your mind, which information is important, try to filter as many questions as you can possibly imagine that could come from this learning module, and that's it. Now, do a little bit further and help yourself for the level 2. I will provide you some elements here, as I said. Well, let's see the key points. See, not many. How is fintech and quantitative investment analysis? I think everyone here would have an idea, more or less, right? How to explain that. Right? What is big data? So data. Now, data is interesting, and then you're going to see this is going to be more is going to be required, in my opinion, more on level 2. Data will be divided in unstructured and structured data. Structured data is the data that has some kind of structure. Think about data that you have in a spreadsheet. That's structured data. Now, unstructured data is a collection of data that you have. Let's say, Facebook and Instagram and all of those social media do that a lot. They are collecting information about the users. Now, that information is useful, but you need to analyze that information, right? You need to process that information to get some, to extract some information out of it. That's when the machine comes in. So now when you integrated data analysis, right, with that volume, with that intensity, you're going to need some kind of computer, artificial intelligence, right, to do the job. Okay, that's it. That's how you connect machine learning and big data. So think about structured data. Well, the work's not that heavy, right? Because the data is more or less structured. So what do I mean? Well, I'll take those spreadsheets and I put in the machine. So I have to do some kind of cleaning on the data, as I'm going to show here to you, and boom, it's ready. Now, if it's unstructured data, then the process, right, it's a little bit more intense. There's some steps involved before you put the information inside the machine, right? Because you want to make it easier for the machine to do quick thinking, right? So you don't want to put a lot of things there. I'll just take all this information and boom. Doesn't work that way. You take the info, you clean, you prepare, then you tell the machine what to do, or ask the machine, use it, and find something out of this. Okay, that's more or less the idea. Good. So tackling big data with the data science, right? So there we go. I'm gonna use the data science to kind of like help me, or scientific instruments to help me to analyze some data. The data processing methods, right? And how you're gonna visualize the answer. The machine is going to spit some answers for you in how? In the format of graphs. So here, maybe a question about the word cloud. maybe a question about some of the ways, the scatter plot or something like that, the machine can present the answers for you. Can be preliminary answers to see if the machine is thinking correctly or not, so you can make the tuning, adjusting until the machine starts thinking the way you want, processing the data and have some meaningful information, because that's what you want, that's what the financial analyst doing this wants. And text analytics, natural language processing, again, this has to do with machine learning. That's it. That's the summary. So now let's go to the points here that I found important, or at least I want to kind of call your attention to those points here. There we are. Intro to big data techniques. Great. So again, we did the learning outcomes already, so I'm not gonna kind of do it for you again. That would be redundant in a way. Just gonna just adjust that one there. Perfect. So, not to be redundant, though, but it's there if you want to take a, for the folks that want to kind of like take a screenshot, Go ahead, pause, do that. Now, I'm going to go straight to the points here that I made, So this one here, the explaining advanced analytical tools, artificial intelligence and machine learning, I think more or less every one of you have heard about it, I hope, about machine learning and artificial intelligence, So what it is, So what is that the machine does, So the machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Could be a question in an exam, maybe, Which of the one is true? Is machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence? Could be, everything could become a question here, because I said, we'll say again, think about the number of different exams that they have to prepare for the 2020, we're in 2024 this year, I'm doing this video, but whatever year you are watching this video, they have to prepare several exams for that year. 4 dates, 4 windows for level 1, 5 days more or less, average. 2 exams per day, Several different countries in the world, So divided like in 3 areas, East, Central, and West. So again, it's a lot of questions, to create that different exams, so we can be fair that everybody is going through the same process in the exam. So otherwise, nobody would set up the exam for the first day. Everybody is going to set up the exam for the last day in expectation that someone that goes on the day before could tell them the questions that they saw in the exam. Don't expect this to happen. I mean, let me rephrase that. You might find someone that's willing to, jeopardize your charter by doing that violation. But what I'm saying is not going to help you, because the CFA Institute is going to guarantee that those exams are not identical. Period. All right, back here. Okay, so try to understand important points about machine learning and about big data. What is the importance? So look what I put here. I'm going a little bit further now. This is level 2. There's going to be more intensity on level 2. The types of machine learning, but I think it's important for you to know now. Supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Okay, so just kind of put that in the back of your mind if you can. What's supervised learning? You tell the machine what to do following a model. You give the machine, look, you see this model here? Use it. That's it. That's supervised learning. Example, a linear regression model. See, we just saw linear regression, on the previous video. So now imagine that you create a model, a linear regression model, and you tell the machine to use. That's supervised learning. You create a tree, and then you can use like decision trees is also another way to do supervised learning. Now, unsupervised learning is a little bit different. So the machine is kind of like, doesn't have a model. The machine has to learn by itself pretty much, So it's called unlabeled data. So imagine that you give the machine a bunch of pictures of animals, farm animals, animals from a farm. And then they have like 4 legs, 2 legs, feathers, no feathers, and the machine is going to start seeing and observing similarities and say, okay, I'm going to categorize this on the 4 legs group, this one is going to be on the 2 leg groups, then on the 2 leg groups they say, okay, this one doesn't have feathers, this one have, and then in the end, you're going to have that classification, more or less, hopefully very correctly, of all the types of animals that are similar in different clusters, let's say, because that's one of the names we use here. There you go. So imagine that I want to kind of like understand a universe of investments, right? To give them a sample or give a large sample, and then the machine has to kind of like select and separate it, right? And then the machine learns. So now the next investment that I presented, like say the next picture of a farm animal that I present, the machine will know exactly where to categorize. That's an example of unsupervised learning. Okay, reinforcement learning, it's the thinking. The thinking, that deep neural network is called DNN. There's a lot of thinking through. That's what the process used for face recognition, for example, right? They use a lot of the reinforcement, like there's kind of layers and layers and layers, so the machine can kind of think very carefully and then give you the correct answer. Reinforcement learning. All right, so supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. I do not expect to get a question like, for example, which of the following algorithms is an example of supervised learning, ABC, because that's more level 2 questions. But if you want to do that, that extra work, try to understand, it's going to be very helpful for level 2, what are the most important algorithms under supervised and unsupervised learning for machine learning, and try to be comfortable with those names, because there are several. I already gave one, right? The regression. We have another one here, for example, clustering. K-neighbor. So again, they have some different ones that you have to kind of like create a list, memorize, and understand which one it is. Okay? All right. Let's continue here. Now going to the points that's more related to this level 1 content, okay? Which is explain big data and tackling big data with data science and the data process methods, right? So look at that. The term big data typically refers to data sets that have the following characteristics. They have volume, velocity, variety. Again, they have some characteristics. It's intense, the work for a person to do, even a group of people. Also not efficient, right? Could be expensive. So machines are very helpful for that, right? For several reasons. So look at that. What is the all of those elements? I mean, could I ask a question about, right, the characteristics that I've seen here? Because this is the official material. Sure, a question could show up from here, friends. Okay, so again, the learning module, it's so conceptual and not analytical. Every line counts of that official material. Every line could become a question. So do not underestimate that. So go over and say, okay, characteristics, okay, volume, velocity, variety. Now, would you have thought about velocity as a characteristics of big data? I wouldn't, if I haven't known. If I had to guess, if someone asked me this for the first time, I would never guess velocity would be a characteristic, but it is, right? So again, take a look on the characteristic, try to understand. Now I'm going to tell you the steps involved in big data analysis. This is very much in the details of each step. It's level 2. Level 1, it's just to have an understanding of this whole process. And I have some images that I created for you to help you. At least I hope you will. Okay? That will be my intention. So let's just read it first, the steps involved. Then you're going to take a look, okay, on the images that I have created for you. So think, data preparation and acquisition. Well, first of all, right, we have structured data and unstructured data. So let's think about unstructured data. Oh, that volume of information that you collected, right? And now what? Process, right? Identify something, right? Monetize on that information. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of like prepare the data. So step 1, data preparation. right? Identify the data source and acquire the relevant data, okay? And then cleans and process the data by remove inconsistencies, errors, right? Double entries, things like that. So for example, my data has the age and the date of birth of each person. Well, why do I need both, right? So you can kind of clean up a little bit so on that process. Then we have what we call data curation and integration. Look at that. Organize and structure the data, okay? Kind of like make it easier in a way. So just kind of organizing, right? So kind of like removing the errors, consistent, clean it up a little bit. But then you have to do what we call the data process and wrangling. That's a very important step on big data analysis, big data. So that's what you're going to handle the large volume of data in a more efficient way. You're going to do data transformation, aggregation, and filtering. I'm going to show an example for you. All right. Then, now that the data is processed, right, it's all wrangled, all nice, beautiful, kind of like, okay, now it's great. The machine is gonna be very happy that that's the type of data I'm gonna give it to it. Then I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna identify the features and variables for analysis. In other words, I'm going to identify what is the best algorithm or the best way that I'm going to tell this machine to work with this data. And then model training, super important part. Model training. Select the model technique or algorithm that you kind of like had it. That's the best or most appropriate for the step. Then you kind of like divided the data, organized, and then train the model to use. The model is going to start spitting some answers, and you're going to have some techniques that you're going to see here, more on level 2. Okay, more on level 2, you're going to understand how exactly you identify if the machine, the model is actually working or not, right? So that's called the model. You're going to be training the model. Once the model is relatively trained, it's okay, now let's do it. Then you're going to start really putting some real inputs in the model. So that's step 6 here, model evaluation and validation, right? And then you're going to do what you call here, right? Measures the model accuracy, precision, recall, and other relevant metrics that you need to know for level 2, the formulas of each one of these measurements or metrics, accuracy, precision, and recall. Okay, not level 1. But I'm going to mention to you on level 1, so you already know that exists and what kind of like putting on a big context. And finally, interpretation and visualization of the answers, the data. Do you know now that you believe that the model is tuned, the model is working well, right? Now let's interpret and visualize the answer that the model is giving to us. There we go. That's the steps that we have. Let's see the image that I mentioned to you that I found that I think is going to be helpful here. I hope it will. All right, go. Okay, friends. So let's see. First one, big data analysis steps. The first one I have here, look at that, right, is the data collection and curation. That's the first step. Look at that. Data collection and curation right there. That's the point on structured data and unstructured data, right? So the data is almost ready to input. That's the structure, the one that I said in spreadsheets. Or unstructured, it's all over the place. Okay, we have a lot of info. Then here, okay, this next step here, okay, the second one, look at that, right in the middle, is the data preparation and wrangling, right? That's the step that I said that's, in my opinion, most important. There's a lot of things here, okay, to know. But again, that will be more testable on level 2. Just try to understand this. I think it's going to be very helpful if you understand those steps. Just having in mind the steps and what happened on each steps. I think that's good enough, okay? Although I'm providing you more information that you need, right? So look at that. Here, I'm going to clean and I'm going to process the data, okay? So what I'm going to do here, look. I'm going to look for inaccuracies, inconsistent, duplications, kind of like, especially for structured data. Because structured data is the one that's on the spreadsheet, right? That I said, date of birth and age. That's duplication. Fix it, right? correct things that are not, let's say, for example, there's some symbols that you don't want to use there, right? Some money symbols, some currency symbols. So there's a lot of things. So just kind of clean up a little bit. But that's an easier step because the data is structured. Okay. Now, if it's unstructured data down here, look at that, preparation. So we have to remove tags, punctuation, and then the work of cleaning, it's more because the data, it's mixed up. Okay, think about that. All right. Keywords, those keywords were on the level 1 material, so I want you to be familiar. Trimming, scaling, and winsorization. Winsorization has nothing to do with the royal family of England. This is winsorization. It's a process where we remove outliers. That's it. Okay, scaling, trimming, same deal. So we avoid outliers. We kind of put limits, right? We put it top and bottom. So values or data that's above here we don't take it, below don't take. So it kind of like you create a range. That's what trimming, scaling, and winsorization are. Okay, related to the structured data. All right. Now unstructured data, friends, preparation. Now it's a little more complex because you have more work to do. You have to remove tags, punctuation, numbers, everything, right? It's not organized in spreadsheets, right? So wrangling, lowercase, stops, word root. So what's a word root? A word root is something that we call lemmatization. Look at this word here, lemmatization. Have you ever heard this before? I haven't until I started learning about big data and machine learning. I don't use lemmatization in my everyday life. But lemmatization, it's a way that, well, why do I have to put words like, analytically or analytical or analytics? So it's all the same family, right? So when you find words that have the same root, you keep just the root. You don't need to tell, so the machine doesn't have to get like several different words that kind of have the same family. The machine will be able to guess properly just if you put a portion of the word. So you put ANALYT. There you go. All the families on the analytically, in all the other ones will be kind of already addressed by that root. That's called lemmatization, right? Stemming is the kind of the same thing. Just kind of like keep it short, okay? Keep short, okay? In the end, right? You don't need to do this, right? Python does that, and you can get the BOW. It's called the bag of words. The bag of words that you're going to input in the machine, right? Unstructured data becomes bag of words that you're going to throw in the machine so the machine can process. There you go. Okay, that's the process here for so think about structured and unstructured data. Structured data is a little bit easier. Unstructured data is a little bit more complex. In any kind of data you need to clean. Any type of data you need to kind of like organize, right? Remove punctuation, right? Remove capital letters, remove symbols, do a cleaning, and then create a bag of words, and the bag of words is the input in the machine. Now you're ready for the third step, friend. The third step is here, is data exploration, right? So data exploration, look at that. So I start with the data collection, then data wrangling and preparation, now exploration. I'm not a model training yet, okay? Not yet. So what is data exploration, right? Exploration of the data. So now you create some charts, some graphs, okay? Not the results yet. It's kind of like a preliminary. I'm going to try to see if this model is working, right? Okay or not, right? So for structured data, the data exploration, after I put the bag of words or I put the information there, I start getting some results. Now I'm going to start to explore if those results are good or bad, kind of like the tuning phase, right? All right. So that's like a preliminary analysis. So that's for structure. And then you can get some like charts and graphs, feature engineering, word clouds for the unstructured data. So that would be like more questions for level 2 in my opinion. Which of those is a form of visualization of the data on the data exploration phase for unstructured data? Oof, huh? There you go, word clouds. Word cloud is very, very famous. Right? That's how you explore, exploration. Anyway, that's the third step on big data. Now the last two, look at that, model training results, which I'm going to combine in one analysis right there. There you go. There you go, friends. So here, oops, a little too high. There we go. Big data analysis step, the last one, model training and results. Look at that. Now, I'm satisfied with the data exploration. I think this model is getting somewhere. I think so. I think the machine is kind of like processing. So let's train now. Let's tune properly. Let's do the training. Let's put more data. Let's kind of like now understanding as results, right? Now, before it was preliminary. Now are results that I'm kind of satisfied that the machine is performing all properly, right? But I'm still have to check. So look what I do. So the performance evaluation. Okay, now is the real thing, right? So I need to evaluate if the model is precise. So this is, again, level 2 questions, but just know that it exists, okay? The confusion matrix is very used on this process, in this part here. I need to know the true positives and the true negatives, the false positives and the false negatives that this model is spitting as answers, comparing with the real data, right? So that's what arrives for what you call the precision, the recall, the accuracy. See, those are the formulas that you need to for level 2. Okay, I'm just putting here as again, I'm explaining to you, right, friends? If it's not applicable for level 1, I will tell you. So again, I found important that you know this, but not necessarily that you're going to need for your exam now. But it's something that you're going to need for the next one. So I think that's important to at least mention. All right. So you take this confusion matrix, the more true positives, right, and the true negatives that the model gives to you, the more accurate the model is. But the more false positives and false negatives, less accurate. So that's why you have those measures here. And 2 words that I want to kind of memorize, because I believe this was on the level 1 material, that I want to kind of understand, feel comfortable with. The word high variance and high bias. What is a model that has high variance? What is a model that has high bias? So the model that has high bias is the guessing model. The model is guessing answers. The model is not thinking. The machine is not doing a proper job here. It's not giving too many false positives and false negatives, right? That's called high bias. So too many guesses. The name for that, put that one you need to know, it's called underfitting. Underfit model is the model that has bias, is the model that's guessing. Now, the opposite of underfitting is overfitting model, which is a problem. A model that's overfit. An overfit model has high variance. Be careful, high variance, meaning it has too much noises. So now, it's not that I'm going to have a variance. In both cases, I'm going to have differences, okay? High bias means the answer was to be 10, and you give me 5 or 3 or 2. You're far. You're just guessing. You're not even close. So I have a difference there, but I don't call that difference variance. I call that difference bias. Now, if I have a model that's overthinking, then I'm going to call that difference. Oh, I expect something less. You give me like this flamboyant answer, right? That's what we call variance, right? I expected less. You gave me too much. That's called variance on the machine learning, let's say, machine learning vocabulary, okay? And that's an example of overfitting and underfitting. So try to associate those names here. Overfitting, high variance, noises. Underfitting, high bias, guesses, okay? Let me show an image here, and I hope that's kind of like will help a little bit. Take a look on those 2 roads here, okay? This road here, okay, let's assume that that's a good answer, okay? So I need to build a road. So I decided that the best way will be going through the tree here. So make a hole here and go through it. By the way, that's the Sequoia National Park in California. Invited everybody to see it. It's an amazing, amazing place. Anyhow, there you go. Look at this answer. Now look at this other answer here. This answer here is overfitting. That's an overfit answer. Look at that. It kind of like a deviate, right? Look at the cost involved to do this, right? The cost that you have to do that deviation, so you don't smash that tree, you don't go over, right? You don't kill the tree, okay? That's overfit. The model got some noises. The model said, don't kill, ever kill the trees. The model learned that. The model put that, oh, I'm never gonna touch now the trees, you know? And then in the end up making a overfitting decision. Okay, it's like another overfitting decision would be like taking and go on top of the tree. You know how expensive this would be, you know, to create some kind of like a way. So anyway, that's an example of overfitting, right? And this will be an example like a better fit. Okay, and a guessing would be like not building a road or, you know, something like that, something completely off. There you go. I hope this can help you to see these differences, right, that we said about overfitting and underfit. Overfit, you think about variance. And variance, you think about noises. Okay, noise is that, like I said to you, protect the trees no matter what. But the model learned that. Now, well, it's going to behave that way. And the other one is underfitting. High bias guesses, right? Try to see if you can memorize those words. All right, friend, this is material that then could be on your exam. FinTech. How is FinTech using quantitative investment analysis? So I put a lot of examples here for you that I'm sure a lot of you, or most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. Definition of FinTech, the importance of FinTech in investment management, and the advantage of FinTech. I think everyone could come up with a list of pros and cons. Okay, don't think that's gonna, if there's a question which of the following is an advantage, which of the following is a disadvantage, I think you're gonna get right away. I do not believe that the vocabulary of the CFA exam, the official exam, the exam that you're going to take, is going to be a difficult vocabulary, difficult to read, too many words, right? Ethics questions is different because ethics has to have some kind of information, but the other questions I expect to be one line with 3 alternatives, something quick, like a little table with few numbers, something like that, because again, you have 2 hours and 15 minutes to do 90 questions, right? So I believe that's going to be something quicker. You're not going to be tricked by the vocabulary. You're not going to be tricked by the question. I think it's going to be very straightforward following the official material. Right? So think about that when you're studying for. Right. Another examples here that I found that it's a consequence of the FinTech is the robo-advising, right? Robo-advisors, right? It's part of the material you need to know for the exam. Could be a question about robo-advising, right? What is the benefits of robo-advisors, right? How they work, right? And what are the limitations? What are the challenges? What are the risks involved? I have some of those here. Look at that. So advantage and challenge. Efficiency, lower costs, okay? Of course, lower costs, right? Because it's going to be replacing a lot of workers, right? And then obviously this will create some efficiency in terms of costs, right? The machines don't stop. The machines don't take vacations, right? The machines don't have personal problems, right? So it's the efficiency is there. And we're seeing this, friends. Okay, honestly, we see in a lot of countries that now the entry-level financial advising jobs are disappearing. Right? The robots are doing that. Robots are doing that. Look, if you go to a restaurant now, most restaurants, they don't have that called sommelier anymore, that gentleman, or, you know, could be a female or anybody. So it's, sorry if I'm kind of like using a different pronoun here, but anyhow, a person, they will go and will tell you, right? This is the wine, this is this, and that, blah, blah, blah. We don't need that person anymore. That job, it becomes a structured unemployed, if you want to use some kind of words that you need for economics. It's a structured unemployed. The machine is doing that. There's a lot of restaurants that they have at the table a device where you can ask the device anything about the menu, the wine, and everything else. Well, look, this is happening in the financial market as well, right? Financial, the robots are performing very well, right? They have several metrics out there that's actually, we're still new, right? We're still collecting the data, but better coins, than 5 more years or a little less or a little bit more, you're gonna get some kind of a more important data collected regarding robo advising that you can start making some conclusions, right? There is I would say a newspaper or a news provider called the Robo Report. Right? Robo Report gives you some kind of the performance of those robots out there, so you can do an analysis and see how it's going. Okay, the younger generation is being very comfortable with robots, so that's definitely something that we cannot ignore. Right? There you go. So efficiency, lower cost, accessibility. Now risks, cybersecurity risks, right? Regulatory compliances and operational risks. Right? Those are the type of risks that could be involved with fintech. Could be a question, so that's what I put this in the box there for you. All right, friends, we're arriving at the end here. We're part of data visualization. Look at that. Look at this one. Right? This is the word cloud or word tag. Look at that. Do you know how to interpret the results here? What does it tell you? It tells you that the word that appears the most in the data are those large words here. So financial report, finance, money, analysis, stock, success. So if you're collecting that from a group of customers or random people, then you can see, hey, hold on a sec, those people have something in common here. Look at that. They all talking about financial reports, stock market. So I'm going to kind of like show something, right? Some kind of advertising to them. And there you go. That's the usefulness of this word cloud. Okay, I have another one here. It's a tree map. Okay, so the tree map could be a question like that. In which scenario would you use a tree map? What do you want to do when you use a word cloud, right? Or the other one. So try to be comfortable with those charts. So a tree map, so different categories and different intensity of colors for the category. So look at that. I have the green category, the red, the orange, yellowish, the dark blue, and the aqua blue. Well, on the aqua blue, I have an aqua blue that's more intense color than the others. So that means that I have more in one, less on the other one. So that's what the color intensity means. Look at this color here, this dark green. I have 275 small caps on the healthcare, which is this rectangle here. And then I have 105 on the mid and 55 on large. See, is a lighter color. So there you go. It's get comfortable. I don't think the tree maps is going to be in your exam because you need the colors to kind of help you out to read the map. All right, the other two that I want to talk about is the scatter plot. Right? We already saw that on linear regression, right? But the scatter plot can give you some kind of information, right? You just throw there, right? And then try to see if there's a pattern, if there's a linear relationship between the variables, something like that, right? Finally, the heat map. The heat map gives the intensity based on colors, right? So the close to the orange, the more heat, the close to the blue, the less heat, cold. So cold means low numbers. Look at number 4. Look how blue the number 4 is, right? Look how yellowish the 99 is. So that also gives you some kind of understanding. I also find difficult those questions to be in exam, like as an image, but they could ask you questions about the graph, where or how to use it. Now they describe a situation and I tell you which would be the best graphic representation for that. Right? So it's worth to kind of take a look. And with that, my friends, we're done. Look at that. Look at that. Nothing. Oh, this infinity here, nothing more, because we're done. We finished, we cover all the learning modules for quantitative math. So I'm going to do my usual kind of like a touch on the topics, learning outcomes and key points, and we're done. Okay? So look at that. Describe aspects of fintech, we did. Describe big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning. Definitely spend a big chunk of this video talking about that. Describe the applications of big data, data science, and investment management. Okay. Key points. How is fintech using quantitative investment analysis? Well, that's the processing of data that can be so helpful for us. Big data, what is the definition? Structured, unstructured. The artificial intelligence and the machine learning concepts that I went beyond explaining to you all the steps of big data analysis, right? That's a part of this tackling big data and data science, right? And then the data processing methods and the data visualization. I think we did all here. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. Okay, friends, so that's it. That was the last learning module. The next video is going to start economics. Okay, so we're already migrating to another topic. And I seriously hope this was helpful for you. I hope I broke the points in an easier way for you to digest and understand. Okay, now making it easy for you to do the problems on the ecosystem, the end of the book if you're using the book, and kind of digesting those examples and some concepts on the official material. That was the idea here. Okay, that's it. All right, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.